All right, not to put a damper on that, but the latest statistics indicate that about 25,000 South African couples get divorced every year. So it doesn't have to be that way, say relationship and marriage coaches Mo and Phindi. They're offering unique marriage seminars, the Marriage Dance with Mo and Phindi. So instead of a top-notch lecture approach, Mo and Phindi weave choreographed dance routines into marriage principles. So Mo and Phindi are joining me now live from our Durban studios. A very good evening to you both. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Good evening.
Good evening, Criselda. Thank you so much for having us.
It's a pleasure. My goodness, you've been married for 15 years and coupled with that, 3 bundles of joy to go with that. How did you do that?
Wow. Time really flies.
Yeah.
It's been 3 months. I mean, so it's been 15 years in April that we've been together. And I really think for us, what we have tried to do is to make our marriage work for us. Yeah. We try to use principles that work for us, and whatever that works for us is what we will apply in our marriage. And we try as much as possible not to look on the outside and look at what other people are doing, and just find out from each other what really works for us. And that's how we've been able to be here until 15 years later.
Mo, the same principles, of course, applying for you?
Yes, certainly. Look, one of the key things we had to agree on earlier on in our marriage was that we would set ground rules for how we're going to manage our relationship. And that worked for us. And so, yeah, certainly what Phindi is saying, I definitely testify to.
You guys sound and look like so much fun, you know. So let's talk about the seminar, okay? That gets underway tomorrow. Talk to us about the uniqueness of the seminar and why you've decided to use dance in all of this.
You know, we actually, funny enough, we later realized how common the rules that are used in dance, how common those are in marriage. And we decided that let's just do a seminar with a difference, where we look at what works for dance and see how we can actually mix that in marriage. And it worked so incredibly. If you look into dance, for example, the posture and structure is very important. Yeah. But when you take that into marriage, it also is as important, because a marriage without a structure or a marriage without ground rules is a very dangerous marriage, because it means anything, comes and goes. So every relationship needs to have a certain position and a certain structure in order for it to work.
Yeah, relationships obviously and marriages can be tough, and I'm sure you include this in your seminars as well. I mean, do we see more and more people needing help to navigate this love terrain?
Oh, certainly. We see couples on a daily basis, and using our different platforms and ways that people reach us. Look, the challenges remain the same, but what we also find is that there are more increasingly new challenges that we see couples facing. For an example, we notice that there are more challenges, there are more couples with problems where the husband is not working. Problems with unemployed husbands, and that is a huge thing. And it's actually a transition from the traditional problems around, cheating, the traditional problems around money, around, in-laws and so on. But there are newer problems that we find couples go through, and this being one of them, certainly. And of course, communication can never be, too old. And you find that communication is a common thread in all of these problems in the main.
Sis Phindi?
Look, I also think, with the introduction of social media, it's putting a lot of strain and pressure on marriages. In the olden days, there was no social media, so you actually wouldn't know what your neighbor was doing. Yeah. And I think now there's so much pressure because obviously you want to keep up with the Joneses and all of that. And that is putting a lot of pressure on marriages today, which now we start seeing as we see couples or as we counsel couples, we realize that people are under a lot of strain and a lot of stress, obviously coming from comparing where their peers are in terms of their marriages.
Let's go back to the seminar. It's taking place in Durban tomorrow. Tell us all about it. How much does it cost? What does all of this include?
Okay, we tried very much to make the seminar as easily accessible as possible.
Yeah.
Because usually with marriage seminars, we feel, you know, they are too complicated, and as a result, a lot of people would rather stay away from them because of the complication and how complex they become. And so what we said we'll do is that couples that wish to go out, the place that we're doing the event at is a complex. There's restaurants, there's, you know, everything you want there.
Yeah.
There's massage parlors, there's a whole lot of places. The wax, you know. So what we decided to do is that we're just going to cost the ticket at 200 rands per person, and that is really for the content of the show, of the event. So what we've done as well was to infuse dance, we infuse music, so that the seminar doesn't just become a typical preachy, top-down, you know, approach that we traditionally got used to. So it's a very much, it's creative, it's entertaining. There's a whole lot of things that are infused in it, you know, for that much. It's happening at Suncoast in Durban at the Globe tomorrow, which is Saturday at 7 p.m.
Yeah. So people can really look forward to a lot of music and a lot of dance.
Yeah.
Obviously with talk coming with it.
That absolutely sounds fantastic. Thank you very much indeed to both of you for joining us here on the program. Thanks for coming through to our Durban studios. Mo and Phindi, professional relationship and marriage coaches. Happy Valentine's Day to you. We certainly wish them another 15 years in their marriage. Thanks indeed for joining us on the program.